Hello, I'm Glossidon, the lead developer of Ventury and head of Team Shredder. I'm sure most of my viewers as of uploading are concerned about the current state of Ventury as a project, and I would like to address those concerns. If you want the short answer, here it is. Ventury is not dead. I figured I'd have to give a pulse a year in. Ventury will not be cancelled or scrapped, not anytime soon at least. The project also will not be reformed, and it won't go into any other direction than what was chosen years ago. It will stay its course, but I gotta be honest all the same. The project's a daunting one that's taken me 5.5 years so far. What are the other team members you named in the last developer update? I can guess you may be wondering. Well, to be kept brief, I have a vision for Ventury, and I can't anticipate people from around the world to be telepaths. So, to keep the game true to what I have in mind, I've worked from a local file and added bits and bobs here and there as a frame of reference so that later, when the game has all the bases covered, it can be redone by those more capable than I at building. Most of what needs to be done for Ventury currently is overworld design, enemy design, story implementation, and I'm going to call it odd ends. Overworld design entails the overworld's contents. Things like dungeons and interesting landmarks, as well as decor, need to be built. An orchestration of these things have been mapped out in Photoshop, but the builds need to be created for those areas, and each area needs a distinctive style or appearance to stand out within the game. Perhaps the most challenging piece of the game is the enemy design, as they directly complement Rixon's capabilities as a player character. Each enemy has to be conceived, modeled, rigged, animated, and then scripted, then to be finally iterated over as many times as needed before finally being finished. Each step can take up to a week, depending. The game story has been sketched out, but needs to be developed within the game. Most of the work involves cutscenes, animations, and writing dialogue, in addition to conditions being integrated into gameplay progression. As an aside, I personally would like to see books or etchings with neat bits of lore for the intrigued player to read. After all, I have plans beyond just Ventury for the world I've imagined. Odd ends are bugs, redesigns, or needed updates to parts of the game which exhibit symptoms of code rot. Also, from time to time, Roblox dabbles in changing how the engine's pipelines operate, leading to what used to be perfectly functional behavior becoming broken. These hiccups have to be addressed, either with hacky workarounds or rewrites. While it might not feel like much, the work put into getting the game to where it is now feels colossal. I've grown up with the game's development, and my perspective on the project has changed with the passage of time. I initially didn't anticipate to include these early screenshots as part of the update video, but to tell you the truth, it's important to understand where the game came from. The primitive and brutish nature of the early days of Ventury's development rings with charm, but how does that compare to today's Ventury? How much progress has been since I was in high school? Well, after 2 or 3 scrapped versions dating as far back as 2016, the margin is quite large. I've implemented fire, ice, water, rain, lighting and music zones, a title screen, save files, a cast of foes which remain unique from one another in behavior, an entire cascade of subsystems for Rixon as a player character. A world for these things to exist has been written about for years. Many iterations of the landscape have been made, countless hours of vigorous testing and designing and scripting. Ventury has made progress, though I always fear that the progress I contribute to the project may never be felt by the player. I get ticked by all the little things, like raindrops having a stony footstep if stepped on, or physics bugaboos, essentially anything quirky about video games as a medium. I will say something that many might get confused or weird about, so I'll ease into saying that by explaining before naming it exactly. Ventury has taken me nearly 6 years as of recording, and because of that, and the factors hampering development, it's uncertain exactly when the project will ultimately succeed and reach completion. My intentions will remain clear as crystal, and my efforts will be pooled towards the game until it is done. I will not be making release forecasts for the foreseeable future, but this is not to say that there will no longer be public updates to the game. Given the conditions I work with as a largely solo developer, in the name of vision fidelity, I can't say when it will happen, but work will be put in, hours will be spent, time will pass, and after my labors are complete, so too will the game. If you'd like to interact with me directly, or perhaps keep closer tabs on my projects, consider joining the Team Shredder Discord server. The companies will appreciate it. As is customary, if you're interested in the channel, do subscribe, and if you felt the video earned it, give it a like. It never hurt. I look forward to speaking with everyone again in the next video, hopefully not in another year's time. Farewell.